The NVIDIA RTX 3060 12GB, you've probably heard of it. Launched a fair while back, this graphics card quickly became a favorite for many PC builders. Its main draw, a solid balance of performance and crucially a generous 12GB of VIA RAM. This wasn't just a number, it was a statement in its tier. Even now in 2025, it continues to be a popular component, frequently appearing in Steam hardware surveys as a go-to option for gamers looking for reliable 1080p performance without completely emptying their wallets. Its longevity speaks volumes about its initial design and feature set. Fast forward to today, May 2025, and the RTX 3060 12GB still holds a noticeable presence in the market. You can often find it priced around the £260 to £280 mark, sometimes even lower depending on the retailer and any ongoing sales. For builders on a tighter budget or those upgrading from much older hardware, this price point remains quite attractive. It represents an accessible entry into NVIDIA's RTX feature set, including ray tracing and DLSS, technologies that enhance visual fidelity and performance in compatible titles. The card's continued availability also means a healthy second-hand market, offering further potential savings. The 12GB of video memory is arguably its most significant selling point in 2025. Modern games are becoming increasingly demanding on VRAM. Titles like which we've seen benchmarked recently can really push an 8GB frame buffer, even at a resolution of 1080p. This makes the RTX 3060's larger VRAM pool not just a comfort, but a practical necessity for smoother gameplay and higher texture settings in the latest releases. It offers a degree of future-proofing that cards with less VRAM in the same bracket simply cannot match, providing a bit more breathing room as game requirements continue to climb. So, what kind of experience does it offer? Primarily, the RTX 3060 12GB targets a strong 1080p gaming experience. It's designed to let you play most modern titles at high settings with respectable frame rates. For many gamers, 1080p is still the sweet spot, balancing visual clarity with achievable performance. While it can venture into 1440p territory, expectations need to be managed, often requiring a reduction in graphical settings for smoother play. It's a workhorse card, built for consistent performance in its intended resolution bracket, rather than aiming for enthusiast-level benchmarks. When we look at raw performance and rasterization for the latest games released around early 2025, the RTX 3060 12GB delivers a competent showing, especially at 1080p. In a suite of 14 games, including demanding titles like it typically provides around 30.7% of the performance of a top-tier card like the RTX 5090 when playing at 1080p Ultra settings. Stepping up to 1440p Ultra, this figure adjusts to about 24.4%. This illustrates its capability for a solid 1080p experience, but also shows its limitations as you increase the resolution. It's not designed to be a 4K monster, and the benchmarks confirm this. Ray tracing performance is an area where NVIDIA generally excels, but the RTX 3060 12GB is an entry to mid-level card from a previous generation. In titles like or with ray tracing enabled at 1080p Ultra, you're looking at performance roughly 27.6% of what the RTX 5090 can achieve. This means that while it runs ray-traced games, you'll often need to leverage DLSS or lower other settings to maintain smooth frame rates. It offers a taste of ray tracing, but for a truly uncompromised experience, you typically look to higher-tier cards. Comparing it to its successor, the RTX 4060, which usually comes with 8GB of VRAM, paints an interesting picture. The RTX 4060, benefiting from a newer architecture, generally provides better raw performance at 1080p and 1440p, achieving around 36.9% of the RTX 5090's performance at 1080p Ultra. However, the RTX 3060 12GB has a distinct advantage with its larger VRAM. Intriguingly, at 4K Ultra settings, the RTX 3060 12GB, 18.9% relative performance, actually edges out the RTX 4060, 15.9%, likely due to that VRAM difference becoming a critical bottleneck for the 8GB card. This VRAM difference is more than just numbers on a spec sheet. The RTX 3060's 12GB of GDDR6 on a 192-bit bus, compared to the RTX 4060's typical 8GB on a 128-bit bus, has significant implications. As games become more complex and texture quality increases, that extra 4GB and wider memory bus on the 3060 can prevent stuttering and allow for higher settings without hitting a VRAM wall. This is especially pertinent for future-proofing. An 8GB card in 2025 is already feeling the pinch in some new titles, a trend that's only likely to continue. When you're looking at the RTX 3060 12GB, it's crucial to see what else is out there in a similar price bracket. One notable competitor in 2025 is the Intel Arc B 580. This card, often found for around £280 to £300, can actually outperform the RTX 3060 12GB in both rasterization and ray tracing across various resolutions. For instance, at 1080p Ultra, the Arc B 580 shows about 35.8% of the RTX 5090's raster performance and 36.9% in ray tracing, making it a compelling alternative if driver support and software features meet your needs. Intel has been steadily improving its Arc drivers, making their offerings increasingly viable. From the AMD camp, the Radeon RX 7600 is another card to consider, typically priced very competitively, sometimes seen for as low as £220. At 1080p medium settings, it offers strong rasterization performance, around 40.6% relative to the RTX 5090, which is quite impressive for its cost. However, its performance tends to fall off more significantly than the RTX 3060 12GB at higher settings like 1080p Ultra, 27.1%, and especially in ray tracing where it's considerably weaker. If your priority is pure rasterization at 1080p medium and budget is paramount, the RX 7600 is worth a look, but it sacrifices VRAM, usually 8GB, and ray tracing prowess. For those who might also dabble in content creation, the performance landscape is a bit mixed. The RTX 3060 12GB offers a respectable 23.1% relative performance in content creation benchmarks compared to an RTX 5090. The RTX 4060 edges it out slightly at 27.8%, and the Intel Arc B 580 is also a bit ahead at 26.3%. The AMD RX 7600 trails slightly at 21.7%. While all these cards can handle some level of content creation, if this is a primary use case, the newer architectures or those with specific encoding advantages might offer a smoother experience. The 12GB VRAM on the 3060 can be beneficial here for larger projects though. Looking ahead, the market is always evolving. We're hearing rumors about the upcoming NVIDIA RTX 50 series, including a potential RTX 5060. Early whispers suggest it might come with 8GB of GDDR7 memory, though a 12GB version isn't out of the question. If a 12GB RTX 5060 materializes at a competitive price point, it could significantly shake up this segment. It's also worth noting that even higher-tier new cards like the recently launched RTX 5070, with its 12GB of VRAM, are seeing that capacity considered somewhat low for 2025 standards, highlighting just how important VRAM is becoming across the board. So let's break it down. The biggest argument for buying an RTX 3060 12GB in 2025 is undoubtedly its 12GB of VRAM. In a world where new games are increasingly memory hungry, this feature provides a tangible benefit for 1080p gaming, allowing for higher texture settings and a smoother experience compared to 8GB alternatives. It offers a degree of future-proofing that is hard to ignore, especially if you plan to hold on to your card for a few years. Coupled with a street price often hovering around £260 to £280, it presents a balanced option for those prioritizing VRAM on a budget for solid 1080p gameplay. However, there are clear drawbacks. The RTX 3060 is based on the older Ampere architecture. Newer cards, such as the RTX 4060 in most non-VRAM limited scenarios, and particularly the Intel Arc B 580, generally offer superior raw processing power and more modern features. While the 3060-12GB can handle 1080p well, its performance at 1440p is certainly limited, requiring significant compromises in settings, and 4K gaming is largely out of reach for demanding titles. If you're looking for the absolute best frame rates per pound spent, newer architectures might pull ahead, assuming their VRAM limitations aren't a concern for you. The tech reviewers offer slightly differing perspectives. Some, like Tom's Hardware, suggest that with advancements and better performing cards like the RTX 4060 and Intel Arc B 580 available at similar or slightly higher prices, the RTX 3060-12GB might not be the optimal investment in 2025. Conversely, outlets like XDA highlight its 12GB VRAM as a key differentiator, making it a worthwhile consideration, especially if found at a competitive price, as 8GB is becoming insufficient. Ultimately, the decision really does seem to depend on current street pricing and your specific gaming needs and resolution targets. In conclusion, the NVIDIA RTX 3060-12GB isn't a straightforward yes or no in 2025. If you're a dedicated 1080p gamer, value high texture quality, and are concerned about future VRAM requirements, finding this card at a good discount could still make it a sensible purchase. It remains a capable card for this resolution. However, if your budget can stretch a little further, or if raw performance and newer features are higher on your list, exploring alternatives like the Intel Arc B 580 or a well-priced RTX 4060, being mindful of its 8GB VRAM, would be prudent. And, as always, keeping an eye on the upcoming RTX 50 series could reveal even better options just around the corner.